Okay, what current stories are relevant to our publication?
Well, many of your stories cover fandoms such as like Dragon Ball mangas, DC Comics, Marvel Comics, so a lot of those are pretty important.
Okay, and how familiar are you with our staff writers?
I'm familiar with a couple of them, like Sean Atchison and Steve Russell. I've seen several of the stories.
Okay, and who would you consider to be our competitors?
The closest thing I would say is Screen Rant, another article online.
And what do you know about our publication, and what could we do better?
I know that you cover both worldly news such as major events and also, but you mainly stick to comics and other fandoms like it. I would say most of what I've read are all very good and pretty objective. I would say some of them can be biased, not on purpose, but because whoever is writing it is more, I would say, eager.
Okay. Of the major news stories from the last year, what would you like to cover and why?
From last year, I would have liked to cover the opening of Avengers Endgame.
And why is that?
I would like to cover it because it was one of the biggest superhero movies in the last couple decades, probably maybe the biggest ever.
Okay. And how would you rate your ability to use technology for storytelling? And what would be your strengths and weaknesses in doing that?
I can use technology such as computers to write stories, insert images, that kind of stuff. I will say that I do have problems when it comes to video editing and or adjusting audio on videos or any audio recordings. I can publish and upload those, but actually editing them is the biggest weakness I have.
Okay. How often do you use social media, and which sites do you use the most?
I do not use social media very often. I only use Snapchat pretty much. I don't even have accounts for the social media sites.
Okay. And how do you ensure accuracy in your work?
I research what I work on. I look through several different sources to make sure that I have the most objective view possible.
Okay. And deadlines come with a lot of stress. How do you cope with the stress of dealing with those deadlines?
Usually, I just try and work on my own to try and find a quiet corner where I can just think through whatever situation I'm doing.
Okay. And what do you like to read on your own time?
I like several different things: fantasy novels, manga, comics. But one of the biggest things I read is stuff like the Percy Jackson series, stuff to do with mythology.
Okay. What type of situation is it better to stretch the truth to tell a story?
I would prefer not to stretch the truth at all. I think that emphasis can be put on certain emotion, but I wouldn't say necessarily stretching the truth.
Name three qualities you include in every story you write.
I like to make all my stories go in a chronological order, along with a certain emphasis on human emotions, try and get people enveloped in characters with actual flaws and personalities. I also like to make sure, in the case of when stories about events, to make sure that the people I'm covering are represented well. They're actually people that have experienced certain events and whose opinions matter in these.
Okay. And if you could write about anything, which topic would you choose and why?
Well, I would choose something that I'm interested in, such as comics, which is why I've come here.
And why are you interested in writing about comics?
Because I've always been a big fan and I want to be able to do a job that I'd be passionate about.
Okay. And how did you prepare for this interview?
I prepared by just taking some time to think through my answers, to relax, and just be prepared.
Okay. And finally, can you tell me something about yourself that I wouldn't know from reading your resume?
I think that the main thing is that I'm a pretty quiet individual. I tend to think through most of my issues. I like to take logical steps and try and put things into, for lack of a better word, statistics to try and reason out through situations.
Okay.
Right. Thank you.
There you go.